Here.
How are you doing?
Yes, I'm very well, sir. Am I visible?
Yes, you are visible.
Okay, could you please start recording, sir, at your end?
Yes, I've started.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
And we need to admit all these people.
Yes, please. Can you make me for a while host, please?
Yes.
I have to do a setting. The first one, that research circle logo, is me, sir.
The schedule, sir. Schedule is good.
Yes, thank you so much.
The long schedule to complete our syllabus, but from my personal point of view, I feel like that schedule is.
I think that you should mute everybody.
Yes.
Yes, you had already said that we need to manage for our future endeavors.
It seems that some people are on, but they're not.
But yes, in the online mode, right from
How many people do you expect? I cannot hear you. You're muted.
300 plus we can expect, sir. Some people, some candidates will be joining via YouTube live, sir. It's streaming live on YouTube also. Okay. So
tell me when you'd like me to start.
Yeah.
And also, if we take questions, please look at the YouTube channel so you can bring questions over here. I can see my good friend Juan Tello from Mexico joining us.
Yes, sure. So we will start now, sir.
Can you mute everybody? There's Novalin. Novalin is on mute and there's noise coming from the background.
Yeah, I think we are good to go now, sir. I welcome you all who join us here. We are about to start. We are having with us our today's dignity, that is Mr. Dimitrios Buhalis. Let me give his a brief introduction. Professor Dimitrios Buhalis is a strategic management and marketing expert with a specialization in information communication technology application in tourism, travel, hospitality, and leisure industries. He is a director of e-tourism lab and a deputy director of international cadre of tourism and hospitality research at Bournemouth University Business School in England. He is editor-in-chief of most established journal in Tourism Review Now and SCI journals in 75th volume, and editor-in-chief of Encyclopedia of Tourism Management and Marketing. Professor Buhalis has written and edited more than 20 books and 250 scientific articles. His research is referred widely, being second most cited for tourism and first most cited for hospitality, 20th on strategy, and 29th in marketing on Global Scholar with more than 46,000 citations and H index 91. His research pioneers smart and ambient intelligent tourism with a particular focus on innovation, entrepreneurship, and destination ecosystems management. So we are very glad that we are having a renowned personality with us. So now I ask to sir, please continue, sir.
Thank you very much. Can you make me host of the meeting so I can,
Yeah,
I
sure,
can
sure.
show my screen?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I already did that.
Okay, thank you very much. Great pleasure to be with you, and it's fantastic to be able to share some of the latest information that we are developing in terms of how you can improve your sorry, I need to mute all. It's great pleasure to introduce to you some of the techniques that we're using in order to make sure that we are improving research and we are enabling people to publish better, better research papers. I'm going to go through a presentation that I've been doing in different kind of places, and I'm going to have a conversation with you based on those developments that they've been and those learnings I've had based on Tourism Review and the other journals I've been editing. Please, if you have questions, please put them on the chat so we can have an opportunity to answer them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop from time to time, and I'm going to look into the chat and I'll answer all the questions that you've got. Please keep your microphones on mute because we don't need the background noise. But if you like to have a conversation, it will be nice. Also, I would like to see faces, please. Can you please switch on your cameras because I don't really want to see a black screen. And I would like to engage with you in as normal kind of situation as we'll have on a research seminars. We've done a lot of these research seminars around the world, and it's great to be engaging, especially with young academics and those people who are starting their research career now, to be able to understand what we are doing and how we can take things forward. A lot of the ideas that I'm having here and a lot of the discussions I'm having here I haven't done them on my own. I've done them with good friends and excellent editors and researchers themselves. You can see two people in the screen with myself. This is Professor Fevzi Okomus, who is the editor-in-chief of the International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality Management. And this is Professor Cleopatra Veloutsou, who is the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Product and Brand Management. They are very good colleagues and we work very closely together. And a lot of the ideas that I'm going to talk about today are very much related to things that we've been discussing for a long time. And those of you who are in tourism, you'll know those characters, and they're good friends and editors-in-chiefs in General Journal. This is Rob Law, my good friend and colleague. Sarah Donlinger from Annals of Tourism Research, Mariana Sigala, who is publishing, who is the editor-in-chief on International International Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Management, and Haiyan Song, he's doing the Chinese tourism research. And this is the heavyweight professors, as they call us, Bruce Prideaux from Australia, Noel Scott, and my good friend Bob McCarthy in Hong Kong. So a lot of the conversations we have and a lot of the issues that we have are things that we're coming out and we've been discussing them for a long, long time. Why do I qualify to talk to you about that? Well, I've been a researcher for 30 years, and I've done quite a lot of things in my life, including being head of department for 4 years. So I had to assess a lot of the researchers and a lot of the new applications for people who want to come to work with us in Bournemouth University Business School. I also have been I've also been the editor-in-chief for the last 4 years of the Journal of Tourism, Tourism Review. That has got an impact factor now of 2.9. So 2 years ago, we got into SSCI, and now the journal is progressing fantastically well. I've been doing guest editorial work for the Journal of Product and Brand Management and the Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Technology. And I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Encyclopedia of Tourism Management and Marketing. For those of you who have looked into my profile in Google Scholar, Scopus, and World of Science, I'm probably one of the best cited authors. And recently, I was recognized by the World of Science as the top cited author 2020, which gives you to the top 1%. So I've spent a lot of time doing these things, and I'm going to talk to you from the heart, and I'm going also to show you some of the background of what we're doing. Probably will be here for about an hour, but hopefully we'll have some questions, and hopefully we'll be talking about these things. So I'll talk to you about Tourism Review. Tourism Review is very interesting. I'll keep talking about it throughout and I'll give you some of the secrets, if you like, of Tourism Review and how we are engaging with these things. But please go online and have a look on the publications we do and all the great things that we do. And that is my latest kind of baby, if you like, the Encyclopedia of Tourism Management and Marketing, which I'm editing now. It's going to come out in 2022. And I welcome submissions of 1,500 words entries on tourism management and marketing. Would like to make this as inclusive as possible, so you are more than welcome to join us and engage with this publication. So I think what we need to talk about is doing brilliant research, get published in top SSCI journals, and get recognitions and citations for what you actually do. And I think this is a conversation I'm having with a lot of colleagues in my university and a lot of other universities. And really, I think the most important thing is to start looking to how can I select the best people and the best papers and the best excuse me. I'm admitting people as they come along, so it's a little bit tricky because I'm doing 3 or 4 things at the same time. I do apologize. So how do we select research topics that we need to do research on? And I think it's critical to understand what is important for me and what's important for others, to look into a comprehensive literature review and understand what is out there, to identify the research gaps and engage in global scientific debate, and engage with the journals that you like to publish and develop a research plan. I think it's not rocket science, but from the type of research that I'm getting into Tourism Review, I find that a lot of people do not understand the basics. They do not understand how they're selecting things. And quite often, selecting the right topic is right. It's like reading the crystal ball, and it's quite difficult, if you like, and to kind of understand what's happening in the world and develop things. But I think when you're selecting research, I think it's about what I'm interested in and what do I like to research, but also to select what they would like to research, what they like to research and what they like to read. So I think on the one side, you've got a very kind of egocentric agenda of what am I interested in spending 6 months working on. And also at the same time, it's really looking to what they would like to be reading and how can I feed themselves. And I think you know, as an editor, the job is like the job of the editor is like coordinating an orchestra. You really need to get all the organs working together, and you really need to engage with different kind of players and stakeholders to make sure that the sound that you bring out of the journal is the best one. Now, I know that many of you, and especially young academics, they've got a very specific target in their mind. I need to publish 3 papers per year, ideally an SSCI paper in an SSCI journal. Especially when I travel to China in particular and a lot of other places, people are not really bothered where they're going to publish and what they're going to publish. What they're really looking at is, can I get 3 SSCI papers, please? Because my boss told me to do so. And if I don't have SSCI papers, I'm not going to get a job, I'm not going to get a promotion, I'm not going to get tenure or whatever. I think in my career, I've been quite lucky because I went the other way around. Partly because I'm an old guy and I started quite early. So at that time, the pressure to publish was not as much and was not as difficult. And I started with an interest of what is important. Why do we do these things, and what is the impact of my research? So everything I've done has got relevance and impact in society. And I've selected things that they were very, very specific, but everything I've done has got impact in society. And the other thing is, I realized that there are a lot of people who are creating eggs, you know, a lot of hens that they're creating eggs. The question is, how do you create the golden egg? How do you create something that is so good that everybody will be referencing in the future? And everybody will be basing their research based on that golden egg. Because you can find a lot of things out there, a lot of publications, but what is the golden egg? What is the golden research that you get out there? And I think when you're looking into these things, you need to start from some basic things. Do you read the journal that you would like to publish? Have you explored the focus of the journal? Do you know the latest papers that are published in the journal? Do you discuss the papers published in the journal? Do you reference the papers that's in there? Do you review for the journal? So these are some of the discussions that a lot of the academics, and especially the young academics, need to answer before they try to actually publish in the journal. So you really need to engage with the journal. You need to understand what is they are actually doing in that journal, and engage with that journal in the best possible way. You need to identify the research gaps in a way that you can understand what the policy makers or the decision makers will need in the future. What are the catalysts of change, and what will make an impact to society? Okay, I'm in social science, so I'm talking about society. If I was in medical research, I look into the progression of medical research and how medical research can progress, or engineering, or any other topics. So it's really about looking into what can we do to take things forward, and how can we research the different aspects in a way that we can contribute knowledge, and that knowledge can actually support what we do. It's really critical that we engage with society in a way that we contribute to society. I'm a believer of science being supportive of society. There's no point of doing anything unless we support society on a global basis, and unless we improve the quality of life. And I think one of the important things, who needs your research? And now with COVID, everybody needs research based on COVID, right? Who needs your research, and who is going to use your research? I find a lot of academics and a lot of researchers that they're trying to get a rapid publication and get themselves the benefit of the publication. But I think we really need to look into the longer term and the most difficult kind of research that's going to bring societal changes, and it's going to bring fantastic opportunities in the future to improve quality of life for so many people. And a lot of people are based in different countries of the world. I can see some of the faces and some of my friends on the screen, and I can see some of the names. And I know that we're all trying to improve the quality of life. So Juan Tello, who is in Mexico and he's listening to us right now, we had a lot of conversation with Juan in Mexico about how can we improve the quality of life in Mexico for all these people who are working these things. And quite often the research needs to be relevant. So this is one of the latest papers that we've done in the Psychology and Marketing Journal, which is about the dark side of the sharing economy. A lot of people are talking about the sharing economy, but very few people are looking to the detail that's required to actually understand what is good and what's bad, and what can we do and why we should do. And I think it's absolutely critical that we start looking into things in detail, and we engage on projects that they can make a change to society. Not just collect some numbers, you know, data in, data out, but really understand what can we do to improve quality of life. Now, once you've done that, you really need to develop a research proposal, and you need to look into the background, the questions that you need to do, the research methods, the bibliography, and all of those things to make sure that your research is actually logical and concise and can create a research plan. Now, a lot of people ask me, how long does it take to create a paper? And I think you can write a paper depending on the research. Research takes quite a lot of time, but a lot of people kind of leave papers to prolong for a long time. I'm a firm believer that you can write a paper in a month, and you really need to focus all your attention into this thing and put all your energy in this thing. So once you've done the research, you probably need a month to write it up, depending, of course, on the discipline and where you're going. I think you really need to be very focused, and to be very focused, you need to have a table like that will focus your ideas in terms of what is the topic, what's the question and the problem that we're trying to find out. And you'll see in a minute that a lot of people are trying to address too many issues. And I think it's really critical that you understand what's the significance of what you're trying to do. And what are the methods that you're going to do, and how do you justify those methods? What are the secondary kind of data that you have got, and how are you going to collect data? Especially a lot of my PhD students are finding really difficult to collect data right now because of COVID. So it's really about, do I have a realistic kind of plan to collect data in the right kind of ways? Where do we get to meet people, and how can we engage them in the knowledge co-creation? And what do they want to read? I think one of the most critical things as an editor is really looking to what people would like to read, and how do they engage in reading those things. And I think a researcher will need to understand what society needs and what other researchers will need, and that will lead to good publications. I think one of the things that you really need to do is understand the editors of the journal. And just before I go that, let me look into the chat and see if there are any questions. In your, Vishal says, dear Professor Buhalis, in the area of work, tourism research, can you share some more deep insights on the methodologies used? What methods and methodologies do you tend to share more? Qualitative, quantitative? How do you see case studies as a tool in tourism research? I think this is a very big question. I think we are using both qualitative and quantitative, depending what we're trying to do. And I'll come back and I'll explain some of these things. And I think case studies is useful to the degree that you can generalize things and you can learn from case studies to actually address big problems. So, and I'll come back with the village of my mother in a minute on this. So keep this question, Vishal, and we'll talk about it. What qualitative method research strategies are done in tourism nowadays? It's a whole range of different, and that's Pamkas is asking this. There's a whole range of different qualitative methods that they use in tourism, like any other field in marketing, strategy, in management. And I think you really need to start looking to the research and focus on the research, and then look into what is the best technique for that research, rather than look into what research is trendy and trying to find the topic as a result of that. So I think it's important to understand the editor and what because the editor is the goalkeeper, if you like, of the publication, right? Now, all the editors I know are incredibly hardworking people, that they are also researchers themselves. And their main target when they are taking a journal on is to publish the best research. So we're trying to find these bright ideas that we would like to publish. The reason why we take this job is because we really want to publish the best ideas. So a lot of people think that we're trying to reject everything, but in fact, we're trying to publish only the good stuff that's out there. And this is really critical in terms of understanding what you do. Fevzi says the editor never sleeps, and he's absolutely right. This is me in Gatwick Airport trying to go somewhere, and at the same time, you have so many papers that are coming that we need to address them all the time. So I've been editing everywhere. This is Gatwick Airport. You'll see some of the other areas. I think before you start trying to target the journal, you really need to read very carefully what the journal is about. I think one of the first reasons why we reject papers is because we receive papers that they are not related to the journal. So you really need to look into the journal, and you need to look what the journal is about. Now, I'm very lucky in tourism review because I've got a whole range of different kind of areas. But if I was on the Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Technology, I would only be able to publish things on tourism and hospitality technology. So on tourism review, I can publish a whole range of different kind of things. You can see the development of tourism review and what has been happening in the last few years and how the journal is growing. I got involved in the journal at the end of 2016. At that time, the journal was publishing 21 articles per year in 4 issues. Then we got to 29 in 2017, 36 in 2018, 55 in 2019. And then in 2020, we had 75 years of tourism review. And we did a special issue with 75 papers, top papers that came on the 75 one, and that created an anomaly because we had 105 papers. But as from 2021, we will publish 80 articles per year. So that will be the kind of development. I think eventually we're going to go to 100 articles per year, but I think 2021 we've got 80 articles. You can see how the impact factor grew from impact factor based on 2018 data 1.06 to 2.9 impact factor in 2019. Reverend, you'd like to ask a question? I can see a hand up. Hi. Okay, that is not something you'd like to ask. Okay. And you can see what's happening in terms of citations, and you can see what's happening in terms of publications on tourism review. This is when I was saying to someone yesterday that quite often you need to look into what is the trajectory of the journal. Where is the journal going? Is the journal going to improve? Is it going to have a higher impact, and where it's going to go? I think this is really critical to look into the Web of Science, the trajectory of the journal, where the journal is going and how it's going to be in the future. Okay, quite a lot of people are having kind of different conversations about editors and what they do and what they don't do. I'll give you a very personal kind of approach to this thing. This is me, February time, when I was in hospital with my mother, when my mother was dying. And of course, a lot of articles were coming, so they had to be dealt with. We anticipate in 2020, we're going to have 700 papers submitted to tourism review. They compete for 80 positions for 2021. 71 of the papers for 2021 are already accepted, and most of them are on early site. So out of the, so we already have 71 papers ready for 2021. Obviously 2020 is complete. We have a 12% acceptance rate. We've got 65% desk rejection. So they come in and they're rejected within 2 or 3 days. We've got about 20 papers being rejected in R1, and we've got 3 rejections coming later on R2 or R3. The normal situation right now with tourism review is about 4 rounds. But there's a paper recently that went to 7 rounds before it was accepted. The objective as of a researcher is not to be rejected. So you really need to be in there and not to be rejected. And people are telling me, what do you do when you get rejections? I've got a very nice whiskey that's called Writer's Tears. It's coming from Ireland, and it's very effective when these things happen. But I think it's really important that you don't reject it. You really need to select research topics and articulate the research questions. So these things are about looking to why do I write papers, and how do I answer my internal questions, how do I satisfy my curiosity, and how do I contribute to society. Why my boss supervised told me to do so because I need a promotion, and I need to add knowledge to the field, and I need to impress my mom. These are some of the motivations that we find that people have got when they're writing papers. And I think it's really important to look into what's a good paper and what's not a good paper. And in order to do that, you really need to read a lot, and you really need to look out for different kinds of papers and understand what's kind of quality. Brilliant research is really about looking into what society needs and how can we take things forward. And what problem do we try to do, and who will benefit from that, and who are the stakeholders, and how we can take things forward. And actually, one of the good things that I'm always keeping in my mind is who will pay for this research. If this research was for sale, who will pay $100, $200, $1,000, $5,000 for this research? How much money would you pay for the vaccine of COVID? And you can see what the governments are doing right now, right? So it's really about understanding what is the value of your research. And that determines quite a lot of things. Value not only financially, but really about the impact of your research, what are you going to do with this research. And there are a lot of critical questions. I'm going to leave you to have a look there in terms of, have I got something new to say? I think out of the 65% of the papers that they are desk rejected on tourism review, most of them, they do not have anything new to say. They say, yeah, I've seen this and I'd like to do it in my location. A lot of papers I get out of India are like that. It's kind of, yeah, we like to see that in that particular region of India. Yeah, but who is going to be interested in this? Only the people on that particular region will be. So why is the paper significant, and to whom? Those are some of the critical questions that you need to address when you're writing something. Let me give you an example. Cultural and religious tourism in Romiri, Greece. Authentic experience and heritage, contributions towards emotional reconnections with the historical heritage. Is this a good topic? Use your thumbs if you will feel that you will publish this. And whatever else there's got, you've got on Zoom that you can say, oh no, I wouldn't. Who thinks that this is a real project, and who thinks that this is a fake project? Any interaction would be good at this stage. Okay, guys, it's a fake project. And it's a fake project. It's kind of, Romiri is the village of my mother. Okay, so this is the village of my mother. It has got 2 churches. It's up on the mountain in the south of Greece, and this is my mother's house. This is where my mother was born. And this is my mother in the old church, and this is my mother on the big church. And for those of you who do not know where Greece is or where the location is, my mother's village is there. It's close to Kalamata. You may have heard of Kalamata olives, and it's in the south, so it is there about 2 hours away from Athens, and it is there as far as Europe is concerned. And it's really a very small place that only those people will be interested in this. This is my uncle Sarandos, and he will be very keen to read this article. And those are the people who are in the local church. But the paper should actually be published in the Journal of Romiri Studies, because a lot of people in India, a lot of people in Germany, a lot of people in Brazil will not be interested in this. So you really need to look into the general usability, and you really need to think about whether your article has got any novelty, whether it's topical, whether it has got stakeholders, whether it benefits the different stakeholders, what's the relevance and the impact of the article. And sometimes you are lucky, you know. If anybody was doing virology in 2020, everybody will hear from them. Anybody who was doing any other PhD or, I don't know, mathematics or whatever, they'll feel very lonely. I was very lucky because my PhD was about technology and strategic management and marketing, and I was finishing in 95. In 95, the internet was coming up, and I was kind of talking about the internet before the internet. So I was lucky because when I finished my PhD, everybody wanted to talk about the internet, and everybody was talking to me. So in that way, it's quite interesting. Writing for success and selecting methods, and we had some questions on this. A paper has got, it's really structured like that. You've got an abstract, you've got an introduction, you've got literature review, methodology, results, discussion, conclusion, acknowledgement, and reference. And those things are discussing different parts, and you have got to demonstrate in all of them what is new and what's good with your reference. Quite often I get questioned whether qualitative or quantitative research, and I know that a lot of researchers are fascinated by quantitative research and they like statistics. I think you really need to be balanced, and I think you really need to understand what you're trying to do. What is the purpose and what's the approach of your research? Are you trying to look into something that is new, that has never been established before? Or is that something that has been established and you're trying to measure and attribute and do kind of structured kind of analysis of what is there? I think this is the most critical thing that you really need to think about. And you really need to think about how do you feel that your research are going to benefit society in the best possible way. Would that be quantitative like that, where you're measuring relations, and you measure how strong is the feeling of someone towards something else? Or is that something that's the factor that determines one thing and what influences something else? And quite often what you find is that qualitative research is coming first and quantitative research is following afterwards. And I think this is quite important to understand, that unless we understand in depth what's happening, it's numbers in, numbers out. But we really need to engage in more depth to understand what we're trying to do. And I quite like this graph because it's got everything together, quantitative and qualitative, and it's kind of brings people on a continuum. And there's not one thing or another that is better. It's basically what meets the requirements of your research objectives, and how do you engage with your topics in this particular thing. I think a lot of people are thinking a lot about what to do, but I think you really need to understand that the journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. And I think the most critical element of any researcher is to start progressing and engaging. And once you start engaging and progressing, then everything is becoming much easier, and you can take things forward. What I find with my PhD students and my junior academics is that they find the first step to be the most difficult one. Once they've done the third or the fourth step, I'm confident that they're going to go places. but I find the first and the second step are the most difficult ones to follow. I think one of the things that you really need to look at is how you can get published. And I'm gonna show you some of the insights of the tourism review, and most of my colleagues, most of the editors are facing a very similar kind of situation. But I think the most critical elements that you need to engage with is, and that will kind of guarantee your publication, is look at the journal that is going to take care of your article and have a look on their publishing process. Have a fantastic novel research, do brilliant research, write a brilliant paper addressing the editor, refereeing and dealing with the referee's report and success factors. And I think when you're looking to what makes a good paper, there's all of those things. I'll leave you for a minute to actually read that and to understand what makes a good paper. But I think every time I'm doing this kind of seminars, and especially when we're talking to people, it's really important that you look into the innovative topics. It's really, how can you get innovative topics and generalizable results that then engaging the reader and make aims and objectives a positive kind of thing. You've seen this before. It's really the structure. It's understanding the structure. It's really critical, because then you understand what you need to do. And it's very interesting because a lot of people miss that. I think the most critical for me is really relevance to the world, and it's engaging with different locations and see what they're trying to do. A lot of the junior researchers look like him. They are trying to kind of put everything in one paper, and everything is trying to be interrelated, and after a while they kind of get lost. I think it's critical to realize that the paper is not the end of the world, it's the beginning of the world. And I think it's really critical to realize that the paper has got to have one specific idea that is really very comprehensive and very detailed, but it does not overload with zillions of things. You've got all your career to write papers, so you don't need to put everything in 7,000 words. Okay, most of the publications are about 7,000 words. In Tourism Review, we're about 6,000. But in 6,000 words, you cannot address zillions of things. You really need to look into one idea that's really clever, that's really innovative, and address that. And I really like this strong message that you've got from the government in the UK. Wash your hand, wear a mask, keep distance, and do not travel. Simple, yeah? That gives you the kind of simplicity that you need in order to be able to take things forward. Where should I publish? And selecting a journal and the mechanics of a journal. This is really, a lot of people don't understand that, and I'd like to explain that to you. So in my field, which is tourism and hospitality, management and marketing, we've got 400 journals, and all of them are publishing all kinds of things. So some of the strategies is to look in the topic and the journal coverage and see if it's peer reviewed and see what's the prestige, what's the impact factor, and go with that. I don't have the time to look at everything, but here is a link from Elsevier that is giving you a lot of different factors that make you determine things. I think the other thing is to really look at the publishers. And these are the 6 traditional publishers that they've got most of the journals out there. So I guess the publishers is really one of the critical things. The other thing is impact factors and how impact factors are calculated and the different lists that you find out there. So this is the Association of Business Schools in the UK that is listing journals in different kind of categories: 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, and 1-star. I think that's a good indication to kind of start your study and to look into what are the good journals out there and what you're doing things. But also it's really important to see what's the trajectory of the journal. You remember I said that earlier. Tourism Review in the last 3 years has gone through incredible progress and is progressing rapidly to a different kind of level. So on the ABS list for the time being, it's 1 star, but I'm perfectly confident that it's going to be 2 star or 3 star when the numbers keep going as they are and when they assess the numbers again. So it has become a Q1 on Scopus. For the first time this year, it has become a Q1 on Scopus, and that indicates, while before it was a Q2, that indicates what's happening. And I've showed you this slide before that shows why tourism review is growing so rapidly. And I like this graph from my colleagues that they're looking to the radical publications, the radical new ideas are going on high tier journals, while those that they are offering a minor increment to knowledge, they're going to lower tier journals. So depending how radical and clever and innovative your research is, it may go to higher or lower tier journals. Have a look on the article because they're looking at these things. And I also like this graph because you really need to set a realistic task for yourself and grow up on the ladder. But what I'm advising a lot of my students and a lot of my colleagues is to start from the top and aim really high and then go down, because going down it's easy, going up like this is easy. But I like to make things a little bit more innovative, if you like. And I say, okay, you can target here, and then you can slide back if you cannot achieve here. And that's a strategy I've been following for my publications. My publications are always going to top journals. And if we don't manage to publish in good journals, we're getting good feedback, and then we're bringing down. It's really difficult. If you start from here, it's really difficult to get there. It's going to take you for a long time. But my approach is to go there and slide back if you're not in a position to do it. How do I get to publish a paper in a tourism journal? I think this is in a top journal. I think this is really critical in terms of the logistics and in terms of understanding what we're doing and how we can make these things happen. And of course, a lot of people see reviewers like that they're trying to kill you in the process, and it feels like that. Today I got a message by someone that says, you are the rudest editor I've ever encountered, because how dare you tell me that my paper is not good. And I told this person had a data set from 2012 to 2016. And I said to this person, it feels like the paper has been written 5 years ago and has not been published yet, and has been rejected from a lot of different journals. And this person was really offended. So he came back with a really with a message that says, I'm really offended. And I said, you shouldn't be. I was trying to be helpful, because I'm telling you what you'll hear from the reviewers in 4 months time. So I'm saving you time. You can address it and you can submit again to us or to someone else. So how do we do things? Referee selection, we really need 2 or 3 referees for every paper. And as an editor, I need to send to a lot of people, and you'll see that in a minute, invitations to actually referee for the journal. If you're not a referee for a journal, I suggest that you become one. And you engage with that kind of idea. Referees are very crucial to quality control. They are experts normally on what they are doing. They are not always right, but they're usually right. And referees are consultants to the editors. Editors do not necessarily listen to what they do listen to what the referees are saying, but they do not always agree with referees. So you really need to explain to the editor what you agree with, what you don't agree with, and how you can take things forward. And the process is like that. So you have a submission, then you can have a rejection. Occasionally you've got to reject and resubmit. So the editor may say, yeah, I like the idea, but it's not ready yet. So please do these things and resubmit as a new thing. Then sometimes it goes to refereeing and then can be rejected, or you can get revisions. And then we're going to that kind of loop. where an author is reviewing and improving what they've done, then goes back to referees, and then eventually it's going through reject or accept. We've got in tourism review, we've got another thing that is right there. Once most of the reviewers are saying, yeah, you can accept this paper, I'm having a very, very detailed look, and then I'm bringing a whole range of requirements back to say to people what they should do and how they can improve your paper because before it's finally accepted. And again, this is another kind of way of looking at it. Depending on the originality and the relevance, you either go to high tier journal that's looking to high rigor, structure, and coherence and quality of writing, or to a low tier journal or a journal that you pay for to be published. And then you get a lot of, and then you go towards kind of acceptance or rejection. Have a look on these papers because they explain the process very well. And again, my writer's tears is always on myself, just in case I need to have a glass. Now, any questions so far? I know that I'm going very quickly because I've got quite a lot of things to cover for you, and I think that you'll benefit from those things. Any questions you have got, you can ask now, or you can put on chat, and I'll try to answer everything. So when you are sending something in, you've got 4 decisions basically: accept, major review, minor review, resubmit, or reject. I think critically, you really need to avoid rejections. And I think that is the most important thing, trying to avoid rejections. Because if the editor still believes that the paper can be improved and published, it will keep it in the loop. And you really need to address all the comments of the reviewers and the editor. If the editor at some stage feel that the paper cannot improve, they'll go into reject. We try to do that as early as possible, but sometimes we're trying to give the opportunity to the author to improve before we reject. Dipti. Dipti, you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Go on.
Sir, actually, my paper get rejected with 3 good journals. The reason behind is that I have very less number of participants in my experiment. This is the only reason. That's why my paper has been rejected. So what should I do? Kindly guide me.
Do some more experiments and have some more people. I don't know what's your area, but let's say that you were looking at the vaccine, and some of the countries and some of the scientists came out and they said, we've got a vaccine based on experiments with 20 people. And some other scientists said the protocols for vaccines mean that we need to have a lot of people. So the vaccines that they are now getting authorized in the UK, they've got something like 45,000 people have taken the vaccine. So you understand the analogy, right? So if they tell you, yeah, we can see something, and the comments that you get from the reviewers are quite good, but they say, look, you don't have enough sample, you need to increase your sample. Does it answer your question?
Sometimes, yes, sir, but sometimes it's impossible because the area in which I am doing the research, the number of participants are of very less age. They are not good enough to participate in the experiments. They are just a kid. So this is the reason behind this.
So, sorry, what is your area and who is your participant?
Sir, my area is cochlear implant. So I need to take the data from the cochlear implant users who are of very young age. They are just below 10 years. So they are not able to give the feedback.
Right. There must be protocols. There must be other people who have done this, and you must be able to see similar kind of things. I'll give you an example. We published recently in the International Journal of Contemporary Hospitality Management a paper about people who are going to eat alone, solo diners, right? Have a look on this paper. And initially, we submitted the paper with 12 people. We had a sample of 12.
Okay.
And then the journal said, yeah, that's okay. There are some interesting things, but with 12 people, we don't feel that you have got enough people and you haven't got saturation level. So we went back and we did, I think, 26, 27, and the paper got published. So that is what you will expect. Okay. So have a look on how you can improve your sample, and have a look how you can engage in that. Okay. So read the editor's letter again and again and again. Please do not read them when you are angry. Please leave some time and look into what you can address, what you cannot address, and what you can politely agree and what you can politely disagree with the letter. And I really want to see the response in a table like this that says every single point that you are addressing, it's coming back and you are explaining to the referees and to the editor good and positive and negative kind of things. And you can address every single thing, including the positive things. Say, thank you very much, we agree with that. Or the negative things, you say, thank you very much, we'll look into that, and this is what we did. Or sometimes you say, I'm sorry, but I disagree with you for this and this and this and this reason. Okay. This is 32 pages of response on the Journal of Product and Brand Management. 32 pages for a 20 pages paper. This is not unusual. This is happening often. And this is what we are experiencing in this business. Mahmoud, you like to say something? To ask a question?
Hello, sir. I don't have any question. Thank you very much.
Okay. So editor never sleeps. I like to give you some of the stuff, some of the information, some of the secrets really of the tourism review and what's happening in the background. This is when I arrived in Cairns last year for the coffee conference. I was the keynote at the coffee conference. And you can see this is dawn, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I arrived in Australia from England and I couldn't really sleep. So strong coffee and editing the journal. What the editors is looking for in a manuscript, I think we discussed that already. Is it innovative? It is well written. What kind of quality has they got? I think you really need to be patient with the editor. Sometimes I get emails and I say, have you done it yet? I mean, in tourism review, on average, we have a decision in 32 days. 32 days is incredibly good for a journal. But this is my daily life. You know, I come up and I see this screen, how many new papers are coming in, how many decisions I need to make, and how many reviews I'm waiting for, how many reviewers do I wait for them to get. And this is on top of the editors being researchers themselves. We write papers, we teach, we manage departments, we mentor students, we supervise PhDs, we travel, we deliver keynotes. Sometimes we eat, sleep, and sometimes party, but not that often, okay? So most of the editors are doing all kinds of things. This is let me show you some real examples. What's happening? You can see here that I've invited 8 people to review this paper, and I got only 2 answers. I got only 2 reviews out of the 8 papers, 8 people that I've invited. So you really need to volunteer to do your duty in that. And sometimes it becomes much more complicated. So on this occasion, I've invited 14 people to get to review a paper, and I've got 1, 2, 3 reviews back out of 14. As you realize, it's quite difficult, and the more journals we've got out there, it's more difficult to find reviewers, and it's really difficult to get good reviewers to to review papers. And some people are very good at answering and doing reviews. Thank you very much for those of doing that. But some other people actually do not accept to do reviews, or if they do a review, they don't do a good review. So sometimes we don't look into their review because we know that their review is not very good and it's not fair to authors. Sometimes it takes a lot of time to publish something. This paper in the Journal of Algebra and its Applications was received in 1995 and was accepted in 2006. I think this is a little bit excessive, but you find something like that. In tourism review, normally it will take about, I don't know, it depends on how good the paper is, but in tourism review, the minimum can be, it's probably 45 days. I think the maximum we had in the reviewing process, it took a year. And it depends how good the papers are. Panzak, you've got a question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, can a paper or research can be done purely on the qualitative research methods, and how to choose the topic for that?
Yes, it can be done. You really need to look into, of course, it can be done only on qualitative. It's not quantitative, is not the end of the world. And the topic depends, as I said earlier, what society needs, is it innovative, and how, what's the contribution? Who is going to use this research and how? And of course, qualitative, unless you've got qualitative research, you don't understand things in depth. So qualitative is always critical when you need to understand things in depth. Mikhail, you have a question?
Yes, sir. In just continuation to qualitative research, any sampling is applicable? I mean to say, for qualitative research, is the sample size matters, or it's the methodology and the outcome of the qualitative research matters?
All of the above. You really need to have a good sampling process, and you need to have sufficient people to answer your research in order to be able to make good progress. So you really need to have a sufficient in qualitative. Yes, I mean, if you come back to, it depends what you're doing. If you're trying to tell me, I don't know, the feelings of people towards COVID, and this is a new kind of thing, and you are asking 9 people, I wouldn't publish it. If you ask 50 people and you've got an analysis, qualitative analysis of 50 people, I'll probably look into it. If you send me a paper that says nine people I've talked to who happen to be my friends and we're having coffee together, it's going to be a desk rejection and probably will say, look, thank you very much, but you need to do some more.
Okay. And if it is something like CXO level interviews and those kind of research can be less in number, if I see.
It depends. It depends. If you tell me that there are 6 chief executive officers that they are meeting this requirement and I've got 4 of them, we'll look into this. You know, if you tell me that I did a review, I did an interview with the chief executive of Hilton Hotels, Marriott Hotels, and Intercontinental Hotels, and I've got a fantastic analysis, and therefore I don't need 25 chief executives of top companies, that's probably justifiable.
Okay.
So it all depends on the topic and what you're trying to do.
Yes. Thank you, Professor.
All right. Mahmoud, you still need something or not?
Actually, I want to ask something to you about your journal.
Okay.
Review. One of the slides that you told about, how can I say, a proposal can contain up to, for example, 4,000 words. But in tourism review, for example, the editorial board of tourism review demands content up to 5,500 words. So actually, when I think to arrange my article, it seems really hard for me to truncate my content. According to
Tourism review accepts papers of about 6,000 words. Yes. Okay. And we don't ask for a proposal. I think you're confused with the encyclopedia. the encyclopedia, we ask for a proposal, but now we don't. We just, now for the encyclopedia, we want the proposal in the beginning. Now we would like 1,005 words for the whole entry, the encyclopedia entry, but this is not tourism review. Tourism review is 6,000 words.
6,000 words.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, let me progress and then we see. So sometimes we've got conflicting answers. You can see here reject, a minor revision, and an accept paper, right? So at this stage, the editor will need to make a decision, and the editor will need to make a decision based on this thing. Sometimes people are saying, look, the reviewers are saying good things, but the editor is saying it's rejecting the papers. This is quite often because we've got something that's called confidential comments to the editor-in-chief here. And here, the reviewers may be saying things that the authors cannot see. Typically, they say, look, I've seen this paper 3 times in different journals, and now it's coming into this journal. Or they'll tell me things that will make a decision. So quite often, the authors do not have the full picture. The editor knows more about a particular thing. So you need to remember that the editor makes a final decision. You need to remember that it's based on the referee's report and your responses. You need to revise with care, and you need to add a table with all the answers. You need to track review to show what you've changed. And actually, please make the editor's job a little bit easier. It's hard enough to try to sort out, you know, in my case, I'm sorting out 600, 700 papers per year to select 80. So we don't really want to reject papers, but please make it difficult to reject papers by following what we're saying and by actually doing what you're supposed to do. And I think this is really critical to be able to engage with us in the best possible way. And I think you've got sufficient information here, and I think I'll stop here and take any questions that you may have. Okay, before I do that, yeah, let me stop sharing so we can have a conversation. Okay. Before I do that, I just want to show you one more slide so you know how to get in touch with me if you would like to get in touch with me. So that is my contact details if you like to get in touch with me. Pretty good at responding to pretty much everything. On Buhalis.com, you'll find all my publications and all the things, and you'll find me across different social media on everything that you like to do. Okay, now you've got this, I'll kind of take questions and I'll answer anything you may like to do. Vissel, hold on, just 1 second. Is that you, Vissel? Yes, you're asking
that's
this
right.
question.
Should we you know, when submitting journals, should one submit to multiple, or is that something should be avoided?
Say that again. I don't understand your question.
So I'm saying if you have a thing which I'm sending to tourism review, and once it's rejected, I still feel it's good. Should I then go down in the value chain? That is question 1. And second question is, should one, you know, submit in 2-3 journals together in parallel, or is that not right?
Absolutely not. This is totally unethical. So you cannot submit in parallel to various journals. And in fact, what happens quite often is that the journals are going to send papers to the same reviewers. So it has happened twice to me in my career that, because I'm reviewing a lot of papers myself, especially if you're dealing with tourism and technology, it's very likely that an editor is going to send it to me. If you're dealing with smart tourism and smart cities, it's very likely that someone is going to send it to me. if you're looking to co-creation and technology or accessible tourism and disability, someone is going to send that to me. So what's happening is that the journal is going, if someone is submitting to 2 journals in parallel, it's very likely that I'm going to receive 2 invitations to review the same paper. Then we're going back to the editor and say, look, I've received this paper from 2 different journals, and immediately it's going to be rejected from both journals, and it will be flagged out as an unethical behavior. So what's going to happen is that now the editors, we speak to each other, of course, because we're all friends. We're all going to the same conference, right? So we'll say, look, this author has actually done that and that and that, and therefore, please do not accept their paper. Now, your other question, should I go to a lower grade journal? I think it depends on what's happening. I've just had the paper rejected myself in a 2-star journal, and now I sent it to a 3-star journal. Because what happened was that I took the feedback from the 2-star journal and what the reviewers were saying, and what we did is we strengthened the paper and we sent it to a journal, a 3-star journal. It was slightly different, that's why we did it like that, but we changed the focus a little bit and we sent it to a 3-star journal. Sometimes people are sending papers to tourism review that they do not fit in tourism review. If it's a paper with too much quantitative kind of analysis, specifically on economics, I get that a lot. I said to people to send that to the tourism economics, because that is a journal that's more appropriate. Or if it's something incredibly technical in sustainability, I send them to the Journal of Sustainable Tourism. So it depends on the topic, but you really need to look into the feedback and what people are saying, and actually address the feedback and take them to where you really want to take them. Okay.
Thanks, Professor.
Hope I answer all your questions, Vissel.
That's great inputs. Thank you.
All right. Juan says right now, which are innovative or trend topics to publish beside COVID? Thank you, Juan. Look, COVID, there's so many papers that are coming to all the journals on COVID, and there are so many of them that are half cooked. That's almost, you really want you are really looking to what is really important. And a lot of people are trying to do the impacts of COVID. Nobody knows the impacts of COVID yet because it's still going, okay? So therefore, if I see the impacts of COVID, it's desk rejection. But if someone says, we look into the protocols that airlines have actually implemented in order to deal with COVID, this is an interesting paper. I'll try to publish it as soon as possible. And what we do is we're taking that paper through the rapid process, and the rapid process means that we do everything very quickly. So I'll ask the reviewers to do it within 1 week, and I'll make a decision much faster. And if the paper is accepted, I'm going to ask the publisher to get priority on when it comes out, because it's really important right now that we know these things. Okay. So in terms of trends, you see what changes the world. I mean, obviously in my area, I'm dealing with tourism technology and smart systems and ambient intelligence and those kind of things. And I think a lot of the innovations coming through technology, and I think a lot of the societal responses will come through technology. And I feel that this is really trendy, but other people will see different things. The critical thing is that when you're doing something that a lot of people have done in the past, like sustainability, for example, is what is new in your way of looking at sustainability. I think this is really critical on everybody who is trying to publish right now. It's what new thing have you done in terms of sustainability, and how can you engage in sustainability in a different way? And I think this is really the most critical aspect of looking into those things and looking to how you can engage with society and how you can bring improvements to society in the future. So that is one. Let me go through Prakash says, can you please underscore or put your own thoughts forward publishing in edited book over journal? To me, in the present context, the trend of edited books are seemingly overarching and do not contribute a lot towards the body of knowledge rather than timely. Can you please guide us through how to make an edited book more rigorous and or value to the society at large? Look, books are different animals from journals. Journals are small articles that they are looking to a range of different things. It's really about the research publication and it's really being evaluated. Books are collections of areas that primarily is addressing students and it's addressing society in a different way. I don't see research being published in edited books. I see knowledge being packaged in edited books or in books in general. And I've done 25 books myself. We have got the book that's coming out very soon on gamification of tourism. So this is not latest research. We've published the latest research on gamification already. But this is really organizing the knowledge and organizing the field in a way that we can actually go in the classroom and say to a student, look, read this book on gamification and you learn so much from it. And this is really the difference between the books and the journal articles. The journal articles are really addressing researchers and they're really addressing other people who are engaged in this kind of activity. And they are primarily focusing on research topics and they are contributing to a research area. A book is really a synthesis, if you like, of research that has already been published. So I wouldn't publish my best research in books, but I will synthesize my research. And don't forget that an article in a journal is about 6,000 to 7,000 words. A book is about 200,000 words. So 6 or 7 articles can be then packaged in a book, or quite often what I do is I bring different colleagues and collaborators to actually submit articles in chapters in a book and then aggregate the knowledge there. I hope I've answered this. Whistle says great impact. How to be aware of predatory journals? What are the signs? The signs of predatory journals, and there are now new journals that they're coming from some good new publishers that they're asking you to pay to publish. I think that I've already mentioned how do you select journals, and how do you select journals is based basically on their standing in society and in their standing in the scientific world. And predatory journals exist because some people are very desperate to publish. They are not very good researchers. They are not doing a very good job at publishing good stuff. And then they will publish things wherever they are. And if you look into the ABS list, if you look into the Australian Business School, and you know, I'm in business, so these are the lists I know. They've got very specific kind of journals. Also, I showed you the 6 traditional publishers that they publish most of the journals, and I think that is a good thing. And there's another question. Is there a measure to detect a clone journal? I don't know what you're talking about, clone journals. Those people who are good researchers, they know which are the good journals. Each journal has got an ISSN. So you really need to look at the ISSN to identify the journal. The problem we've got in tourism is that there are a lot of journals that have got different similar names. So you may have a Journal of Tourism and Hospitality Research, which is a good journal, but then if you've got the Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Research, or if you've got the International Journal of, or if you've got the International and Contemporary and that, you may, people are playing with words to actually play with that. Have a look on the ISSN, the number of the journal, and that will tell you exactly what's the impact factor, who is publishing, who is the editor. Another thing that's really critical is look at the editor. Is the editor credited themselves? Are they good researchers? Are they established researchers? Because that determines whether the journal will have a good standing. So Most of the top journals in every field have got excellent editors, and those editors are well-established researchers themselves. I mean, I'll give you some examples. You know, in Annals of Tourism Research, you've got Sarah and you've got Scott, which are excellent researchers. Tourist management, Kathy Su in Hong Kong, who's an excellent researcher. So the top researchers, the top editors are excellent researchers themselves, and that's a good indication. Have a look on Google Scholar to see who is a good researcher, who has got a lot of citations, who has published a lot of journals. Have a look on the Web of Science. Have a look at Scopus, where everybody is actually there, so you can see who are the good people. Is social media impact on consumer behavior in tourism industry a good topic? It used to be, and I've published a lot on those things. Back in 2005, 2006, it was innovative. Now, a lot of things have been published. Have you read them? Have you looked into what we've said about social media and the impact on consumer behavior? One of the areas that's very good now in social impact, Pancas, is return on investment. How much money and time do I spend on social media, and what returns on investment we've done? And if you see on my publications on my website, you'll find two or three papers that we are looking to that. One is looking to reviews on TripAdvisor and what impact has got on the pricing of hotels, and another one is looking to the image of destinations and tourism organizations. Guys, please do not ask this kind of questions, because it kind of shows that you do not know the literature. You really must go and read the literature. The literature is out there to be read. Start from the latest information. Okay, if I receive a paper in Tourism Review that says all the literature is from 2005, 2006, 2007, it's a desk rejection immediately, because I know that this person has not looked into what happened in 2020. We're spending all the life creating new research. If you're looking back 10, 15 years ago, especially in something that has got to do with technology, you're doing something wrong. Okay, you really need to look into the future and see what we can do in the future. Do you consider the research is weak if it's only based on quantitative or qualitative? That's a question from Hafsa. No, it depends what you're trying to do. Sometimes it may be stronger if you do both quantitative and qualitative, but it depends what you're trying to do. If what you're trying to do is new, you may need to do qualitative first before you do quantitative. If what you're trying to do has been well established, like, I don't know, social media and tourism, as someone said earlier, and you are now trying to measure something, that may be quantitative. It depends what you're trying to do. There's not one way of looking to this. Rosanna says, what is your opinion about SSEI index paid publication? I'm not sure what is that. But are you talking about sustainability, and are you talking about this kind of journals? Yeah. Okay. Look, there are two ways, there are two business models on journals. On the one side, it's the traditional model where the authors do not pay any fees to publish, but the universities and the libraries are paying for the journals. And there's a new model, which is authors are paying to publish something, and then that becomes freely available. And there's the hybrid thing, which is the old journals that they allow the authors to actually pay to open up their research to everybody who is interested in this. I think I'm traditionalist on this. I can see some people moving towards journals where they pay for publication, but I'm a little bit cynical about these things. I would rather, and I haven't published yet in any of the journals that I've got to pay to publish. I've published in journals where we pay to open up the content, but I haven't published in journals where I've got to pay for. And I think that's the best answer by example I can give you. what is the best software and website for checking grammar? I would actually, there are several ones, and I'm using Grammarly, and it's quite successful, but I think I'm now using 2 professional editors who are editing the work, and I'm sending some of the tourism review authors to those editors to help them with their language, because let's face it, I don't have the time to do it, and I don't think that some people from different countries do not speak English at that kind of level, and they may have got excellent ideas, but their language skills do not allow them to actually do good stuff. So increasingly, I feel that they should go to professional editors who are helping them to improve their language. But the ones I'm using are specialists in our topic. So I've got 2 ladies who used to be academics. They've retired or they've got out of academia. Both of them have got PhDs on tourism, and both of them are very excellent. And they work with the authors to actually improve their ideas. I wouldn't recommend those kind of companies that have got a lot of people who are just checking English. That is not what we need at this stage. I need much more expertise in the things that we're doing. Okay, I think, guys, we're going for 1.5 hours, and I probably need a tea. Any more questions? I'll take 2 or 3 last questions, and then I'll have a tea and probably a whiskey later today, the writer's tears. Mahmoud, your hand is up. Do you need something?
No, thank you very much, sir. I don't need.
Okay. Okay, if that is the case, I will thank you for your kind invitation, and I really enjoyed sharing some of the information. I thought that would be much faster than that, but it wasn't. It's 1.5 hours. I think I gave you more details, and I really want you to be better researchers, and really it's in a way it's a selfish kind of thing, because I really want to get better papers so I can get more of your papers published in Tourism Review. Feel free to get connected with me on Buhalis.com. You'll feel free to connect on LinkedIn or Twitter and see all the things that we're doing. Have a look on some of my publications, because you can see most of the editors are leading by examples, because we are all researchers as well. Have a look on what we do and how we are engaging with those things. And if it's areas that you are working on, I'll be more than happy to support you on your publication, your research field. It's really important we get the next generation up to date and ready to actually do good society. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very knowledgeable and helpful session. We all thanks from behalf of our participants, as well as from on the behalf of Research Circle. We are very glad to hear you from you, sir. One last request to all the participants. I know all of you are in their individual comfort zones, but there's a last request. Please, if you can, please turn on your cameras so that we can have a moment. We can have a screenshot here, please. Thank you so much, all of you, for your active participation. We are glad that you have participated. Thank you so much. And again, we